Peace, everyone. Baba Kilindi here. Hope everyone's doing okay with the change of seasons here. Moving into fall. The leaves haven't changed yet, but probably by next weekend they will be. The weekend after next probably be changing colors. So that's always a nice time for a ride in the country when you're in Michigan. Well, peace. Be traveling to New York this weekend to Nicholas Brooklyn, Fulton Street, to lecture on the pineal gland and spirituality. So, looking forward to that. We have to get in there and bring the info to New York City. So, of the couple of thousand Facebook friends and others who I have in New York and New York area, we'd like you to come on out to the lecture. I'll also be on Brother Onk's show Thursday evening, talking a little bit about what I'll be talking about during the lecture. We'll be talking about the pineal gland, its calcification, decalcification, access, how it, regardless to popular belief, does secrete melatonin, which is converted into DMT, and it also secretes DMT. Not just the pineal gland, but the lungs and the liver. When I went to high school back in the day, we had logic as part of our school curriculum. And seems to me when people say that DMT is not in the pineal gland or something to that effect, and at the same time say that the DMT secreted from the pineal gland is metabolized before you can use it, logic dictates that if it can be demetabolized from the pineal gland before you can use it, that the pineal gland secretes it. I mean, I'm just saying, seems sensible to me. Now, say that the pineal gland secretes DMT, and then before you can use it to have a full entheogenic experience, it is, it's decomposed. So we'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about spirituality. We'll be talking about crystals. I will be bringing the last of the transdimensional crystals from this year with me. And I'll also be bringing the Yiming Zhu crystals with me also, so that people can understand the true and first most legitimate usage of crystals, not just putting them on your altar or laying them on the floor in a certain design and saying that this is going to do something. Crystals are a technology. They are subquantum computer information in a macro device that has a pattern, which it grows in that particular repeating pattern. You utilize crystals with psychedelics, hallucinogens, or entheogens to be able to access the matrix of the crystals. So it is to be paired with the hallucinogen, because consciousness is what is paramount in all of these different types of things. And the way to access it is through the human consciousness as a technology, not as just something that sits around. It's like if I got the new iPhone X or 10 or whatever it is, and it ran out of battery power. This is, 300 years from now, I find an iPhone and it's in a museum. It can't be utilized. You don't know what it is. They just say this is an old relic that we found in New York City. We have one in most of the museums around the world. This was a black scrying mirror that they used the same as the scrying mirrors that they used in the time of John Dee and Edward Kelly. This was a modern scrying mirror. You see the workmanship, between the the metal body and the glass front, where they used to sit down and stare at this thing, and then visions would come and information would be done. So this is the ancient scrying mirror. And they didn't know that if you push the button, that it was a communication device, and it is exactly like an ancient scrying mirror, except it does a lot more things. You know, you have music on it, you have videos on it, you have a way to communicate with other devices of similar engineering. But, you know, folks will say, oh, well, that those type of things didn't work. That's nothing, because you don't have the power cable. You don't know what the buttons on the side are for. You don't know that it's a computer. You just think it's a black box and you stare at the black screen. But if you have understanding enough, once you plug this thing up for an hour or so and push the button, that's what liberates the information. It's the same thing with the crystals. They were utilizing crystals with entheogens. And if you don't have the entheogen, you don't have the power cord, and you don't have information to be able to know what the buttons on the side for. This is the problem. So people will say, well, this is pseudoscience. People will say, well, crystals, you know, that's just some fantasy stuff. No, it's not fantasy on 10 dry grams of psilocybin mushrooms. It's not fantasy if you're staring at it and you've just taken the third hit in your excursion into the DMT realms. It's not fantasy. So, you know, you have to have access to the knowledge and information on how to utilize these things. The Yiming Zhu has went sub-quantum, below the Planck length, and brought light into a place of ultimate darkness, what they called the triple thick darkness, where Ansar or Osiris or Wasir utilized this technology to light the perfect black in the underworld. Because under the Planck length, you're several orders of magnitude below the photon, which means there's no light down there because there's no photons to make light. There's no heat down there because, why? Because it's smaller than the molecule. There's no molecules there to bump into one another to create friction, to create heat. So it is ultimate cold and ultimate darkness. But consciousness, as they said in the Bhagavad Gita, which was part of the Mahabharata, is that what you are, no fire can burn you, because your soul, which people say, some say don't exist, it exists under the Planck length. So no fire can burn you because there's no molecules down there. Molecules are way up. It's smaller than the molecule. No water can drown you. Why can no water drown you? Because there's no water molecules. The water molecules are way up there. You're below that. No wind can make you dry because there's no wind. No sword can cut you because there's no atoms to make steel for you to be cut down there. So we're talking about high science. We're going to be talking, and we're going to be bringing it. We're not bringing the theory. We're not bringing the ritual. Ritual was created when we lost the real thing. It is a shadow of the real thing. And I know this hurts some people, but we have to deal with this thing for real. You know, we have to deal with this thing on a level that is accessible to where either we can deal with the things down here, or we rise so far above what's down here that the things here no longer matter. It takes courage. It takes tenacity. It takes a sense of adventure. Because when I talk about hallucinogens, psychedelics, and things like that, I'm not talking about healing. You know, we have this fascination with healing. Everybody's messed up. Everybody's psychologically messed up. They're physically messed up, and they all run around looking for healing. Everybody's a healer now, you know. So, you know, this is not what we're going to be talking about. We're not going to be talking about healing. We may brush across it because that's part of the dynamic of what entheogens are being utilized for now. They're utilized to get people off of smoking, for post-traumatic stress disease, for opiate, for people who are addicted to opiates, getting them off of that, early childhood trauma. These type of things are what's going on. So when we approach this, this weekend, Friday, at Nicholas Brooklyn, we're going to come with the information. So be looking forward to seeing you all out there. We'll have some of the technology with us, a way to use the technology. So folks in New York, looking forward to seeing you, looking forward to you coming out. We only have, as far as the transdimensional crystals, we only have a few left because we had our Detroit Psychedelic Conference last month, and it was a resounding success. Everybody that didn't make it this year will be doing it again in 2020, and we'd like to see you out. Matter of fact, why weren't you there? You called me at 3 o'clock in the morning with questions. You could have got on the Greyhound or the Chinese bus or Spirit Airlines, be all crammed up in there and come on through the conference. But we'll be looking for you in 2020. If we're still here, because we're going to be talking about the artificial intelligence, the 5G network, how the AI is now embedded in the internet and in individual computers in its own blockchain, utilizing space on millions and millions and millions of computers, ready to actualize itself into the areas of knowledge and information that permeates the computer world, that permeates the world of things like, your refrigerator and your plant waterer and TVs and things like that, that are all part of this. And we'll be talking about those things. So, we'll be talking about, the relationship to exotic beings, what people call the gods, novel entities, spirits, spirit travel, astral projection, dreams, all of these things from a actual, real, practical way of doing these things and not hit or miss. You can practice lucid dreaming for 10, 15 years and hit it every once in a while. This is something that you take the dose, you're going to get in. You take the dose, you're going to get in. So thank you all. You can message me if you want to get one of these crystals before I go to New York, because after I go to New York, they're going to gobble them up and they're all going to be gone. So thank you very much for listening. I hope you are having a good day, preparing for the trip. So I'll see you all, the New Yorkers, in the middle of the lecture this Friday coming up at Nicholas Brooklyn. Thank you very much. Baba Kilindi signing off.